Nothing.
Good morning, and welcome to Empowering Women in the Composites Industry. I am Marcy Offner, Director of Marketing Communications for Composites One, and I'm excited to be here today to talk about a subject that I consider myself an expert on, because after all, I was born to be one, and that is women. I have worked in the composites industry and the advanced materials industry for a while now, and I just love the excitement and all the innovation that we see around us, that we're seeing around us this week. And I see that women are making their impact more and more and are considering careers within this exciting industry. A couple of years ago, I founded Women in the Composites Industry. The group is not about being against men. It is about educating women considering careers in the composites industry. And it is about bringing men and women together to talk about how we can be more inclusive and more diverse in our great growing industry. It's about educating women about how to use their voices to be part of the conversation. And it is about the responsibility we have as women and men to mentor each other as we're considering our careers and as young people are considering careers within our industry. Finally, it is about all of us, men and women working together to create an environment that is welcoming and friendly to all. So let's get started by looking at some general statistics. Can I see the slide, please? So as you can see by the slide up on the screen, there's really not a lot of research about women working in the composites and advanced materials industry. But there's a little bit that I was able to glean. You can see that according to Deloitte, in 2021, women made up only 29% of the manufacturing workforce within the United States. And according to census.gov, there are over 11,941 composites technicians currently employed in the US. 17% of those are women. The median earnings for female manufacturing industry workers was $35,158, lower than their male counterparts who are at $48,849. According to Zippia.com, globally, 21.5% of all material engineers are women, while the other 78.5% are men. Zippia also reports globally that 10.1% of fiberglass fabricators are women, and 89.9% of those fiberglass fabricators are men. Statistics show that globally, female fabricators make $3,000 less annually than their male counterparts. So, this is the research that we have. We'd like to see more, obviously, and maybe we can do something about that in the future. But what's important is that we start having the dialogue, and that's what we're going to do today. So let me introduce our esteemed panel. We have Lucy Houchin. Lucy is the general manager of Norplex Advanced Composites. We have Laura Fabi, who is the managing director of Resintex Technology. We have Claude DESPIERRES, who is the Vice President, Sales and Marketing of Industry for HEXCEL Corporation. Then we have Julie DAUSSEINS, Technical Leader and Thermoplastic Composites Advanced Manufacturing, AEROSPACE. And finally, we have Dr. Anne BERTHEREAU of OWENS Corning, who is the Vice President of Innovation. So let's get started. Hello, ladies. Welcome. Thank you for joining us today. I have a question for all of you here at the beginning. If you could just briefly tell us how you started on your journey into the composites and advanced materials industry. Lucy?
Sure. Good morning. So I've been working in the composites industry for about 6 years. Was working in a completely different career path for about 10 years before that, but then joined the IDI Composites, which is our family business. And it did not come to the composites industry with a technical background, so there was a lot to learn, but I immediately fell in love with it.
Great. Laura?
Good morning, everyone. I started my venue into the composite since I was a kid because my father has always been working in the composite. He created the resin tex in 1989, and since then I was basically always smelling styrene.
Me too. Morning, everybody. Yes, my whole professional career as well has been in the composite industry because as a student and as an engineer, as a composite engineer, and right after that I joined HEXCEL and spent my whole life selling composites.
To answer to your question, Marcy, it's after visiting an engineering school when I was in 10th grade that I know that I wanted to become an engineer. And a few years later, I discovered composite materials thanks to an engineering discovery project. And I have a background in material sciences engineering, upgraded with a PhD in building sector. And this is how I began my career in the composite industry.
And that started probably from my childhood. So I was loving building with, playing with Lego, playing with material, building things. So then from that, material science education, an opportunity to start within a composite really company. And I've been dealing around for 25 years now.
Great. We have quite the international panel here today, which is very, very impressive. So I know that when I go and visit customers or some of our suppliers, a topic of conversation these days is always how do we find really qualified individuals to work in our organizations? Perhaps we can talk today about what are some of the challenges in recruiting women to work in our industry, and mainly though, how can we focus on the opportunities that are available to women within the composites industry? Laura, would you like to start today?
Sure, Merzi. I'm not an engineer, so I'm more into sales, and I've been also, thanks to you, into marketing. In the past, I had an internship. When I first started, before starting with resin tex full-time, I had the opportunity to have an internship in Composite One in Chicago, and Merzi has been my boss. So, she, gave me a good imprinting on marketing. So, being a sales lady and, a little bit a marketing lady, what I learned and my suggestions to women who would like to get into the composite industry is to learn the products. One day I was giving a presentation on a structural adhesive that is very popular in Italy, that is called Crestomer. And the first question they raised to me was, which color is the product? And, from that, I understood that it was a threat, and that, of course, to sell the products and to market them well, I should have, open the pail and see, the product and see how, the products, behave and perform, in reality. So I suggest to, start from laboratory or from production.
Great. So Lucy, obviously, as Laura mentioned, there's a lot of opportunity on the marketing and commercial side of the business. What would you tell women considering a career in those areas?
Yeah, I would say that the composites industry is as diverse as women are diverse. We all bring to it different skill sets and interests and backgrounds. So I really think it's like Laura said, you just have to start, and we have to get young women or women of any age, really, I guess, to start in the composites industry and to see that there are all of these different sometimes winding, but also very interesting and meaningful career paths that you can take, whether it's on the sales or marketing side, like me and Laura, or even quality technicians or operators on the factory floor, or like our esteemed colleagues on the engineering side.
Great. And speaking of engineering, Julie, what would your thoughts be?
Yes, I think that in engineering there is no difference of being a woman. For example, at DER, we innovate. It creates many career opportunities in engineering, such as process manufacturing, laboratory testing, design office. And for example, when you are working on research and development project, it's long-term project that can provide professional stability. And when you are a woman, it makes it easier to balance professional life / private life. And I think it can open many opportunities for women in our industry.
Great, thank you. So let's switch gears to what it's been like to work in an industry that is predominantly male for the most part. It's changing, but Claude, you have worked in various roles within our industry for most of your career. Can you share with us some of the challenges you faced?
Sure. Yeah, it's been more than 30 years, and you're right, things have changed, has improved. 30 years ago, I didn't realize at first, but because I had been always studying as well in a predominantly male environment. 5% engineer were women. And when I joined, what I realized after a while is that my voice was not counting as much as the voice of men. That was the key thing. But once you get it, I think also going back to what Laura was saying, once you show you're credible, once you know what you're talking about, and you become assertive, well, things change. So you make your own, you do make the change happen. It's very important to have the confidence. Do not look at the eyes of men who might be thinking, well, you're probably not going to be capable. If you know you're capable, you are, and you make the difference. And it worked, apparently.
Good. Anne, how about your unique experience?
Yes, almost similar experience in a way. It's true that our industry, our sector is heavy male-dominated. But unlikely, Claude, I think I was always being very well accepted because I had the opportunity to prove my expertise. Let's start with that. I think this industry is male-dominated, but really open-minded, really to accept when you have value to bring. It's true that when I reflected on the past, I didn't have, when I started working, any female model role. Any female leader, I could really get inspired, get advice and tips. That is changing also now. And finally, it's also true that sometimes I had to face some really classical woman in the workspace, work environment stereotypes. Maternity, flex work, priorities. But once again, I think today things are changing. And the fact that we have this panel today, it's really the truth that things are changing.
Let's stay with you for a moment, Anne. What can companies do to create a culture that's more inclusive and that supports the success of women in their careers?
I think all start with culture. So I would say a company could encourage a culture that believes in the potential of women. And having Casey, my colleague here, I would say it's more than women and gender diversity. It's really encourage a culture that believe in potential of everybody, gender diverse, culturally diverse, background diverse. So it would be the first things. And the second things would be encourage also a work environment that enable people to develop. And for women, it would be presenting women career opportunities, learning, development opportunities. But I think there are plenty of programs. And Marcy, I would ask you the question about what are the initiatives that are ongoing in the US, because you are really a leading person here.
Well, for example, I did found women in the composites industry a few years ago, and the reason for that was not because I felt that there was not opportunity for me, but because I felt that there was an opportunity to create a place for women to come together and talk about how they can leverage the opportunities that are there. It's really, that's what it's all about, sharing our experiences, helping each other, empowering each other to use our voices and to go back to our places of work and to use our voice. We all have one. You know, we might wear a skirt to work sometime, but that doesn't mean anything. We have ideas, we have experience, and we have skills. So, you know, for me, I have been with my company for 25 years, and I've, you know, been able to use my voice and find a way to be somebody in the room. How about you, Laura? Mike.
Yes. So to create an inclusive culture and to support the success of women in our industry, I think that we that companies should support women. Also, I was thinking, you know, with some customized training programs. So, I mean, if a woman needs to learn about, I work a lot in the marine sector. So if a woman needs to, or wants to learn more in the marine sector, sometimes it's not that easy to get into and to walk into production, you know? So, I mean, if there is a supervised training to make this access to the work floor easier, you know, I think that this could be very beneficial, you know. Don't just leave a woman, you know, walk around, you know, men and from, you know, of all kinds, you know, or male of all kinds, but, you know, support and encourage her and make it softer because, of course, we need some, you know, soft, you know, like approach.
Well, you bring up a great point about the training for sure. And I think that there is opportunities for women in the careers that we hold, but also in our manufacturing shops, right? Where we're always struggling to hire good people who will stick around. And something I learned a long time ago is that women, in fact, make the best gel coaters. So I don't really know why that is, other than that we're probably a little more precise. But so tagging on to that topic, recruitment in general has been a challenge for all companies over the last couple of years. And unemployment is at an all-time low in many of our countries. The global pandemic did change how we feel about our life-work balance and what's important to us at home. What do you think companies could do, Lucy, to be more effective in recruiting women, whether they're young women or women in the changing a career, to our companies?
Yeah, on the I'll start first with the for younger women, and unfortunately, I don't think there's a quick fix. I think the best strategy actually is to start to educate or expose even girls to manufacturing in general, the composites industry, and to really start to present to them what a career, and maybe at that point they're not thinking of their careers when they're 10, but to start to think about these are the things that could be really interesting for you. So I think that in the US at least, we've done a good job with presenting STEM education, but also, the other types of careers that are needed for running an organization, for working with a manufacturer of any kind. If a young girl likes to read or be artistic, maybe she goes into marketing or something like that. So I think it's a longer term plan. But I always try we support our local schools very closely and try and be at career fairs or things with the universities, and that's the approach we use, but it's not always a quick fix. But we have to start today.
How about you, Laura?
Yes, I mean, when I had the chance to interview some new ladies for resin techs, I trying to pass the message that I was not afraid of maternity, you know? Maternity is not a threat. Maternity is just a part of life, you know? I had 2 kids, 6 and 7 years ago, one after the other. They have 17 months of difference. I've been working until the last day because it's my company, you know, and I really enjoy it. And I was doing trade shows and doing everything. Of course, you know, being a little bit careful, you know. And I was working, you know, until the end. And then after one week, I took my babies to the office, and the babies were just next to me for many months, you know. And sometimes, yeah, my mom was helping me. But that is the message that I really want to give to my employees, that and to, you know, people who work with me, that you don't need to never give up with family, with your idea of family for business, because it's up. If you get organized, as you get organized in business, then you can have a successful private life as well.
Great point. I once had a young female engineer who was speaking with me at another event, telling me that she went to a job interview, and one of the questions was, do you plan to have children? And first of all, I was just appalled that somebody asked her that question in an interview. But she answered it, and she said, well, not today, but maybe in 10 years. And the person interviewing her said, well, then why would I invest time and effort in training you and building a career if you're going to have children and leave? And, you know, the young woman didn't know how to respond, because she had just invested thousands of dollars in her career through her education. And so it's a great point. Women do have some unique challenges when it comes to having children and balancing their career, and it's important for companies to recognize that. Claude, if I was looking for a job today in the composites industry, what would you say to a young person or somebody changing careers to encourage them to consider our amazing, innovative industry?
Yeah, the first, I think the word I'm going to use a lot in that, my answer is diversity. Composite first is, there's a lot of diversity in composite. So by definition, whether you're a man or woman, composite industry is fun. Composite is diverse. There's a lot of things you can do in there. It's serving a lot of different applications, marine, recreation, aerospace. It's fun, whether you're man or woman. And women can also then have jobs in many diverse positions, whether it's, as you said, quality, production, sales and marketing, everything works. And the last thing I want to say, because, you know, when I was talking earlier, I was saying, you know, 30 years ago there was so little women, and there's still not enough. But I think the industry now and the companies are realizing that diversity is a benefit, that, you know, inclusion of more women is a benefit. We're different in the sense we think differently, we might approach problems differently, and that's a strength. So I think really with these companies and all men colleagues realizing these benefits, there's this conscious willingness now to include more women. So really come in there and companies will make a room for you, not only as an engineer, but just to make a full career within the company and within the composite industry.
Great. And you, Julie, what do you think?
To complete what Claude said, I think that to reveal vocation, we have to arouse the interest of young girls from high school onwards, and to show them concrete application in their everyday life. I think that everybody knows in this room that composite materials respond to global environmental issues, to which I personally believe women are intrinsically more sensitive, and especially young people. And I think it's a way to attract young girls, young women in our industry, and they can have great career opportunities to help us for this challenging about the decarbon. As aircraft manufacturer, we are facing the decarbonized aviation, and I think we can have lots of opportunity inside.
I think so too. So let's dive into why we're really here today, and that's about empowerment. empowerment is defined as really becoming stronger and more confident and comfortable expressing oneself. And claiming your rights. You're a human being, you have a voice, claim it. So Anne, how can we ensure that women are represented and that their voices are heard at all levels of the composites industry?
Yes, it's a difficult one because I think being early career in this industry, I guess the way to make it work, it's really like to surrounding you with the right really ecosystem. So I think here for me, what was working and still very important is mentors. You know, I've been very fortunate, and I'm not shy to share it, that to have had 3 great mentors that did encourage me all. And in the way they were able to encourage me is that this started by creating a trustful, really work relationship with open and constant dialogue. But they were doing more in a way that these 3 mentors really had believed in my potential, probably more than I believed in myself. So sure, they did open some doors, but they really also incentivized me, encouraged me right, to take some job. I didn't think I was ready to take it, frankly speaking. Because there is something about women, whatever really like age you have, we have a tendency to underestimate ourselves. So I think I have a personal mantra right now I'm sharing with as many early career female I'm meeting. It's really start with really don't limit yourself, because it's not really like what is happening most of the time. Second is build your network. And it could be with other female, but I guess I know so many male colleagues that are so pleased to really like mentor, empower, help. And the third is about then be a sponsor of others. Everybody has a role to play.
How about you, Claude?
Well, after the good speech of Anne, I have very little to say because I mean I'm perfectly in line. Mentorship is very key. I mean, when you have the chance to meet somebody who's going to empower you, show you can make it. Because again, I agree 200% with what you say. Women have a tendency to underestimate themselves. When you offer them a job, they're going to think, well, do you think I can do it? Well, men will tend to say, I'm sure I can do it, and maybe overrate. So it's really helping women not to doubt, and coaching them and mentoring them, because indeed you don't grow just like this by miracle. You need guidance. So of course women now already in position maybe can help more to guide women, but I think again it's very important to have male guiding women, empowering women, helping to have that recognition. And yeah, but fundamentally yeah, I think the key is for women to have the confidence. Yes, you can do it. You're not just there to be an engineer. I mean, you're an engineer, or you are whatever degree you had when you entered, but you can do much more than that. We want to see more women at the, in high level in the hierarchy. And again, there's no reason why there should be a few percent. Absolutely no reason. Just trust yourself. Yeah, I think that's it. That's the key.
Great. Obviously, we have a lot of experience here on stage today, and all of us are leaders in one way or another in our various companies. And I know that we all feel strongly about mentoring young women, really young people. I think it's important not to lose sight of that as well. We want to mentor young women, but we want to mentor young people to consider careers in our industry. Lucy, what role do you think mentorship can play in our industry?
Yeah, I think it has a huge benefit. I've greatly benefited from both male and female mentors. I think the other thing to keep in mind is that you, as a mentor, you also take a great deal from your mentee, from whoever that young person is that you're mentoring, to learn about a fresh perspective, to kind of ask questions that you may have taken for granted for a while. So yeah, I know that we all personally have great benefits in our own career, but also, get a lot out of the mentor or the mentee as well.
That is true. I have learned a lot from people I've mentored, especially when it comes to like my computer. So, it's always great.
Microsoft Teams.
Yes, yeah. Microsoft, And how have you mentored people in your career?
So usually I like mentoring people that don't relate too much with me so that I can learn. So I like mentoring really like people that are very different, you know, diverse talent, and this is what we try to do at OWENS Corning. But I thought that being in the leadership role and being a woman, I should also invest massively on the woman side. And that starts always with trust first, because without trust, you cannot really like help somebody. Sometimes second discussion could be sometimes emotional. Because we have to break the taboo we spoke about maternity, we spoke about really work-life balance and so on. But yes, I try to engage really like people are mentoring I'm having a mentoring relationship in not only the career growth discussion, but really about like how people really like have fun in their job, get this job satisfaction, which is a self-driver, and how could I help them really like being comfortable in the current ecosystem, in the current job, before dreaming to the next level. That starts with that. So,
Claude, can you think of a mentor that you had in your career that you still take lessons from?
Yeah, I have absolutely someone in mind. I mean, I had a couple of mentors who, every time they helped me make a step change. And the last one I had helped me make the major step change. And I think the key was, again, bringing the confidence, the absolute confidence that I needed, again, to be in the position I am today. Being in a position where, yeah, you have a lot of responsibilities, you have to lead other men, a lot of other men, unfortunately, I would say, because I would like to have more women in my group, in my team. And it's absolutely key. And again, a mentor can make a whole difference in making that click, and then giving you also more exposure, because exposure is important. I mean, it's a bit like, I could say example in swimming or in skiing, is like, you need to do it once in this tough condition to say, well, I did it, I went through it, it worked, so I can do it again. And the next time I can do it better, and I can do it on my own. So, yeah, I mean, mentors are absolutely key. If you have the right one, it's great, and it works for your life almost. I mean, it's absolutely key.
It is key. And you work for a large global organization. Are there any things that Owens Corning does to help promote mentorship throughout the organization that you'd like to highlight?
yes, indeed. I'm very proud of what Owens Corning was able to develop in terms of mentorship. It's now very structured in a way, and it makes it easier, because until really probably a few months ago, it was almost like a little bit like secretive approach, you know, like how do you ask somebody for mentorship? How do you start a discussion with a mentor? Because you should come, really, the mentee should come with almost like a clear, really like something to speak about. So it was complicated, like how to start this mentoring. And now, like thanks to our HR and also like extended team, we have really almost like it's I don't know, it's not mythic, but it's well, I guess it's like a LinkedIn, a connection through digital tool, so that as a mentor, you almost like publish that you have 2 or 3 seats for mentoring, and then people can reach out to you through digital, and at least that enables for easy connection. Instead of relying on your leader to connect with other leaders. So I think this digital really like mentoring approach, we just started last year. But it's and you have also like some tips, like almost a deck really to help people, especially early career, to start a mentoring relationship. How do you start? How do you engage every month your mentor? And there is also some guideline and tips about how to start and how to end, because there is a start and end in the mentoring. It should be 1 year or something, but then could be something different afterwards. It's more relationship, work relationship.
Thank you. Lucy, we saw at the beginning of our presentation that there's very few statistics about what's going on in our industry when it comes to women. I mean, obviously, I've seen it change over the years, and there's more and more women here, more and more women in leadership roles. There actually are quite a few women working, say, for example, in marine boat shops making parts, so you'd be surprised about that. But it would be great to get it all in one place. How could we encourage organizations like JEC or ACMA or SAMPE to gather those types of statistics? Because it would be a great recruiting tool as well.
Yeah, definitely. And I was a little shocked, you know, as we were preparing together, that there weren't more statistics, wasn't more data. So I, you know, and then I stepped back and I thought, well, I actually don't even know what it is for our company, you know. So I think that's one place to start. Is we're I would say a medium-sized organization. Maybe some of the larger companies already know, but we will start by just finding out ourselves, so we have a benchmark and can see if we are changing or not. And then I think it would be really interesting for someone like JEC or the ACMA to help the industry to collect all of that data together. I know the ACMA has made workforce development one of its pillars in its strategic plan, so maybe they can help to organize it, or SAMPE or JEC, but someone needs to kind of help to pull it together. So
maybe women in the composites industry.
Maybe women in the composites, that would be even better.
Throughout my career, I've always believed that I have a voice. I guess I had a strong mother who raised me to believe that. But I've also had some great mentors as well, both men and women. Actually, probably more men than women, given the industry that I've worked in. I think it's very important for young women in particular to know how to use their voice. And you have a strong voice in your organization. What do you think? How can we encourage young, intelligent, working women to use their voice in their day-to-day life of their careers?
Yes. I think the answer it's probably the same, whatever the gender. It's focus on what you have to achieve and deliver. By doing so, I guess it's almost like do what you said in a way. Because you build trust, you build also yourself more confidence if you see that you can get it. So that starts by demonstrating that you can really, like, you know, achieve the outcome what is expected from you. Then second is don't hesitate really, like, to raise your hand. It's like, don't limit yourself. If there is a mission-based type of really, like, job that you could take a little bit far away from your current really background, but it's a learning opportunity. I always tell my team, we are in R&D, so we need to do test and learn. There is nothing wrong to take a little bit like horizontal move in another function, a very different really mission. Try it. If it is successful, perfect. If it is not, it would be a learning opportunity, and you will get something from it. So I think always come to this mantra, don't limit yourself, you know, test and learn and try.
Very good. How about you, Lara?
Well, I think that the best way to encourage women to leverage their voice as they grow their careers is, you know, just to be an example, you know. I mean, that's what I do. I mean, I just try to do my best, also to motivate my team and women, you know, the women in my team, to become more self-confident, and also to wait for the right time. You know, sometimes they ask me, you know, I want to go and see and, you know, get more into, I don't know, technologies. But, you know, if you're not ready, you know, you have to wait for the right time, you know. So, you know, that's the best thing, I think, you know, is just communicate, you know, talk to them. If they're nervous, listen to them, because, you know, sometimes, you know, I mean, we women, so we understand each other, you know, and just, as I said, be their example.
Good. Julie, I know you have some thoughts on this as well.
Just to complete what have been said by Laura and Anne, I think it's also up to the companies to highlight its female talent, both internally and externally, like it's the case today. Because I think that we need more representations, more model, and more example. And it can be a way to cap talent for the composite industry.
Perfect. So we're winding down, but I think that it's very important that we end on a note of positivity. First of all, I think it's very important to understand that all of us in this room, men and women, have a role in making our companies more inclusive and more diverse. But I'd like to hear from each of you. What is one piece of advice you would offer to a young woman or a woman changing careers? I always like to say that because we will welcome women changing careers into our industry. What's one piece of advice you might offer? Lucy.
Yeah, I think this would apply to anyone, really, but especially to women, is that I have grown most at the edge of my comfort zone, the very edge of my comfort zone. So I think Claude was talking about skiing or swimming, and you do it once. Once you prove to yourself you can do it, it's easier the next time. So get out of your comfort zone, and you will amaze everyone.
Yes, I mean, I suggest to keep up with your femininity, you know? Just sometimes, you know, when we work in a man's world, we might want to melt, you know, with men and always, you know, we even look like them. No, you know, your femininity is you know, is a tool, you know, that you can use, and you have to keep it up because, you know, it's very special for you, and you have to maintain it and really sustain it carefully. So that is my you know, recommendation.
Great point. We all have certain qualities and abilities, and we complement one another, right? That's what makes companies successful. So great point, Laura. Claude, what about you?
Yeah, I would say once you know what you want, speak up. Because yes, you can do it. That's it. Then there's no limit.
Julie?
I will give two advice. The first one, not to be afraid of being in an environment that's still male-dominated. And the second one, the most important for me, is don't underestimate your skills. Don't censor yourself. We are as much as capable as men. And I think that we can be integrated at all levels of decision in a company, as we have lots of examples in this panel. So don't censor yourself.
Yes, so I will speak much more, like give some advice to men in our industry, because I think you propose a lot of good advice to women. But I think we have a pretty diverse also audience today, which is great. But the three advice I would have for women, the first, it's have confidence in women and in their professionalism, because women are ready to really like invest a lot to be successful. The second advice or expectation would be about trust and respect. It's very important. So build a trusting and trustful work environment so that everybody could have a voice. It's true for women, it's true for whatever diverse talent. And the third, it's break taboos. All start with speaking. If you are afraid about maternity, if you are afraid about flex work and so on, just speak with your teams. So I think it would be the three things. I would let it, yeah.
Great advice. I guess for me, the piece of advice that I always like to give women, young women, or even young people as they begin their career is to find your voice. And to remember that you're gonna, like we said earlier, you're gonna fail. You're gonna say something that people laugh at or, you know, say, no way, that's not possible. But keep using your voice. And if you get to a point where you're in a company where your voice isn't really heard, then it might not be the right place for you. It doesn't mean it's a bad company. It just means it's not the right place for you. So I think that's very important for us all to remember in our careers, right? And And then finally, we'll take a couple questions if you have any. We have a couple of minutes left. Yes. There's a microphone coming for you there.
Hello?
Can you turn the question mic on?
Hello? Yeah. Hi, my name is Justina. I'm from Varsna. I work for a composite company. And I would like to thank you for this panel, because for me it was really inspiring, especially that I hire a lot of women. It's in my company, it's like a ratio of 40 to 60, but most of the women are really shy. They don't speak up. They are smart, they are scientists, they are engineers, but even when we have some panels, they keep quiet. They come to me afterwards and tell their ideas. So for me, thank you for this panel. I've learned a lot, and I will implement it at New Era. Thank you so much.
You're welcome. Well, good for you for hiring so many women. That's great to hear. Yes. We have a question over here in the front. There's a mic coming around for you.
Hi, Kim from Closed Composites. Anne, you talked a little bit to the male audience here. I was wondering if any of you would address the idea of allyship, of men being an ally to the promotion of women in their own organizations.
For sure. Let's start with that. Allyship or mentorship, but to speak for women and to consider it's... I think our success will be when one day we won't speak about female or male workers or colleagues. It's just like colleagues, whatever, you know. We will be going there. I think what will enable that change is for sure like female being more confident. And now I think we don't speak just about gender diversity. We start speaking about really like other diversities. And that is helping women not to be just under the spotlight, because now we need to ensure really like different culture really working together. But sure, do you have something to add,
Yeah, if
Claude?
I can add, I think it is very important. We don't want to give the impression that we want to take over. We need diversity. We want just to have a better share and, you know, more women among the men world. But we need both, right? And absolutely to your point, we don't want women to be mentoring women. We want men to be mentoring women as well, right? We are in there together to take the best of both sides. So definitely, we're there together. So.
Exactly.
That is true. We all like men on this stage. And for me personally, all of my most important mentors have been men, and they've been encouraging and you know, helped me achieve the things I've achieved in my career. So, agreed. Any other questions?
That's me. I'm Magdalena Schwangler. I'm from Cross Muffet Technologies, 3D printing, kind of edge side of composite. So what I do not really like about those female panels, it's a lot focused on what we female can change, what we women need to change. And I think that man also can have a great impact. And what would you say are the biggest things man can change in working, in behaving, and how to work together with female workers?
I think that for me personally, that in a company, I think it's just important for men to realize that women do have different challenges sometimes than men throughout our lives, and making the environment flexible enough so that we can have our careers and we can take care and raise our families and pursue those interests that are important to us. I'm fortunate. I've worked for a company that does allow me, you know, those types of flexibilities and has encouraged that throughout my career. How about you, ladies?
Yes, I think I said break the taboo, because there is first taboo is maternity leave. But maternity is like a project. Most of the people here are used to lead like multi-million, multi-billion projects, very complicated. Here it's like a 3-4 months project to manage. So break the taboo, speak about maternity. I have plenty of females that went to maternity recently, and we just plan for it. Offer flexibility. Sometimes people need some flex time, part-time, home office. But it's true for whatever. It's not only, because mothering young kids, you need more time. It could be because you have parents really need some special care. And in that case, I see more and more men asking for flexibility, work flexibility. So start is really engage. Everybody can play a role, men and women. Engage really with HR, with your colleagues about what are really the showstopper to hire more female. If you have, it could be a coffee discussion to start with. It could be a very serious discussion in a meeting room. But if you engage, if you speak more and more about it, mindsets are changing. Does that make sense to you? Yeah. And I think Crossmafai is a German, very process-driven. So I don't know how many female you are there, but you have a big role to play.
I think also there can be very small things that men can do, even just simply asking what your female colleagues think in a meeting, just to proactively ask, what do you think, Marcy or Laura? Because sometimes someone was talking about underestimating ourselves, or women are sometimes have a lot of self-doubt. I know I've been in meetings where I look around the table and I'm very intimidated. And there's been one woman at the table who will say, Lucy, what do you think? And it's the kind of the bridge to start the conversation. And it can go a long way. And I think if everyone did that, it would be great, but especially men.
Yeah, maybe I'll go in the same direction. The only thing I see men maybe could do is to be conscious of the unconscious bias that they have. Because I'm sure a lot of men will say, yeah, we're totally, we're treating women totally equally, no difference. It's not totally true. It's fairly, I'm sure they fairly believe it, but it's not totally true. So just be aware. There's some training, by the way, about that. Just be conscious of your unconscious bias, and that will make the difference.
And last, I would say you don't lead female as you lead male. So I think there is this emotional really balance sometimes that through training, I don't know, through discussion, we could really make some progress on it.
Yes. Any other questions? Yes. Here.
So we have questions for women, so I guess it would be great to have questions for men.
Hi, my name is Elif. I'm from Mitsubishi Chemical Carbon Fiber. And I have one comment and then I have a question. So I wanted to add something to your discussion that you were saying how we can promote composite market to young women. I think we should really tell them, look at JEC. This is the biggest global show and we just fit into 2 halls. So this is not a big, this is we have not so many experts in the area. So this is a well-paying industry. This is maybe something we could underline. And also, since companies, of course, want to increase the number of women working in the companies, so there is a lot of job opportunities for young women in this industry. So this is what I wanted to say. And my question is, you discussed about challenges, sometimes we become like men, that I believe also that we shouldn't do that, but we fall into these traps. Also, since we are capable of doing so many things at the same time, sometimes we want to do everything and everything perfectly. So it is a very long run. How do we make sure that we just don't lose it and balance?
Well, I'm a 2nd generation, and during this 2nd generation process, my dad asked some consultants to kind of, analyze the company. And this is exactly what it came out, that I was kind of too much into details. And my dad saw this as a weakness. And I was initially a little bit, uncomfortable with that. But then I realized that it's true, you know? So I just, you know, when I am too much into details, maybe I ask men, you know, to help me out with, you know, getting everything more fluent, you know? So, you know, but thanks for raising the point, because I think it's very much, it's true, you know?
Yes, that's a great question. I think we could, maybe that could be our panel next year. That whole topic could be our panel next year. We're running up on our hour here, and I think all of us could say we're so excited that you all took the time to stop by our panel today, and let's continue the discussion, right? Men and women, and keep things moving forward, and next year we'll hopefully have another topic for you. So thank you so much, and enjoy the rest of JEC today.